What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker, Jeff Martinet Jr. Now, I am so pumped up tonight, but we're not actually live. I know it says we're live right now, but we are pre-recording this episode on Sunday afternoon. And I had to quit watching football to pre-record this episode. So you guys are lucky. But so my background is that I was in a severe car accident 22 years ago. I spent 2.5 months in a coma and 3.5 in the hospital. I was told I wouldn't be walking right now, but guess what? I am. And it has taken me 22 years of recovery so far, and I do not see any end in sight. So I'm here to encourage you guys to live your best life and do it today. Why? Because you never know when the seconds will run out on your one life. But tonight, I have a very, very, very spectacular guest in Dr. Mel. So I'm going to bring her to the stage. And don't forget to welcome her in the comments. And I will happily respond back to those comments. Thank you so much, guys. Hey, Melissa or Mel or Dr. Mel or however you want to go by.
Hey, Jeff, thank you for the lovely introduction.
Yes, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful.
Well, it's not really this evening. As
Great.
we can see by your clock behind your head, it's like 3:03, 3:05, 3 something. And so I thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy afternoon to be here with me and the people that are watching this show. I'm pumped up to have you here. I just found out that you're a physical therapist, and physical therapists have been a big part of my life, so I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate that, Jeff.
So if you would like to go through a short introduction about yourself, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and well, I already said what you do, but and what you do.
Of course, of course. My name's Melissa. I'm a licensed physical therapist and holistic health coach. I was born and raised in Long Island, New York. I currently live with my husband and two dogs, and I'm actually expecting my first baby in December December 14th. So I'm currently pregnant.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I'm currently a director of rehab at Shamrock Home Care, but I also started my own online business, Live Well with Dr. Mel. I
Wow.
started my own learning platform through Convene Communities.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Now, I have talked to Mr. Tom Dorney, and he's actually the one that suggested you to be on the show, but he is also big in the convene uh, space or whatever you call it. But I think that's a great idea, and it's great that you have started your own business, and I wish you luck with your pregnancy and all that. But as I talked about earlier in the show, I was involved in a serious car accident, and I had to grow my way through that car accident and get to where I am today. And I've learned some things during those 22 years after my car accident, but it is great to find out how other people have had to grow through things in their life. And it's great to show everyone that everyone has problems, not just them. And I don't want anybody to feel alone out there. So, so Dr. Mel, has there been anything that you have had to grow through in your journey to become a physical therapist?
Yes, for sure. So back in 2014, when I was getting my doctorate degree from New York Medical College, my family lost our grandmother. I know it seems like, yeah, everybody expects to lose their grandma at some point, but for that time, that was like the first major close family member that I lost. So it really um, impacted me dramatically, and it actually shifted my whole career path. She was just such a light spirit. She prayed and she was just such a good person. And it when you lose somebody in your life, you reflect on all their beautiful qualities and you miss that light in your life.
Mm.
And it also makes you recognize that you don't have a lot of time, that you don't know how much time you have with each other. So it makes you cherish your relationships as well. And it also drastically changed the population that I decided to serve in my physical therapy career. I was a three-sport athlete in high school, and I always envisioned myself helping athletes recover from injury or being out in the action on the sports field. But then when I lost my grandma, I decided to go more into the home health space and really help people who aren't even capable of walking or getting around safely. I found it was much more rewarding for me to help people who can't kick a soccer ball, but maybe just
Mhm.
are trying to get out of bed or up from a chair.
Yeah, I know that was one of the big things in my therapy when I learned how to actually get out of my wheelchair.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's so rewarding to get somebody to walk again. Um, it's just been, yeah, it's like the loss of my grandma has significantly changed my perspective on life in general.
yeah. So, how has it changed your perspective on life?
So it made me look at people look to serve people who were really, I felt, in need, rather than like I'm like still go on and live a healthy life and enjoy a good quality of life, even if I can't score, a soccer goal. You know what I mean? I can still walk to the kitchen and get a glass of water. I can still get to the toilet and go to the bathroom. But for some people, they don't even have those little things. And um, my grandma, actually, the way she passed away, she was walking down the stairs to go to the grocery stores, and she slipped and fell and she hit her head, and had a traumatic brain injury. So that's the type of people I want to serve. I want to make sure people are safe in their homes, that improving their balance and coordination so somebody doesn't lose their mom or grandma or something like that.
Yeah, that is really crazy. So, what was all right? A lot of people aren't familiar with traumatic brain injury.
Right.
So, can you educate people a little bit on a traumatic brain injury? Just what is it? How does it affect people?
Yeah, of course. So, a TBI is when you can either have a head trauma or you can have loss of oxygen to the brain. Either way, it can happen. It can happen inside the body or it can be an external force that causes it. But when you have a traumatic brain injury, it can really affect, if you do survive it. Obviously, the worst case scenario is people passing away from it. So, what happened with my grandma is she had a slow brain bleed, and then it wasn't able to be capable of being stopped. So, she ended up losing her life from it. But if you seek the help you need right away and you can survive that traumatic brain injuries, sometimes you can be left with residual weaknesses. So, depending on where the injury is in the brain, it can leave you with weakness on one side of the body, both sides of the body. It can cause cognitive issues. It can cause delayed motor control. There's many different side effects from it because the brain, it's controls everything.
Yeah. I know. So I had a traumatic brain injury, and that still affects me to this day, and it will, I'm sure, for the rest of my life.
Right?
And I am actually on the Ohio State Brain Injury Awareness Committee,
Oh,
and I happen to know that 1 in 5. So I live in Ohio, and I happen to know that 1 in 5 Ohioans have had a brain injury. Now, these are not all traumatic brain injuries. Some of these are just concussions, but it opens your eyes when you realize how much it affects the world and how much it really costs people in the world and the governments of the world. They only, excuse me, they only provide Ohio with like 5 cents per person for a brain injury. That is nuts. So we're working on improving that. That's what the Brain Injury Awareness Committee does in Ohio. We're working to improve that. But I just find people like you to be refreshing because you actually understand what what a brain injury can cause.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. And 5 cents a person is definitely not enough to solve
No.
these people's injuries and ailments after something like this. It is a lifelong journey. Like you said, Jeff, have been in therapy for over 22 years. It is a lifelong journey for sure.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't foresee myself quitting anytime soon. So I'm hoping to hit 30 years at least, maybe
Yeah.
even 40 or 50. And that long in therapy is kind of unheard of.
Yeah. And I can see you breaking records.
Yeah, well, I definitely have so far. I mean, there were so many people that doubted me and told me that I wouldn't be able to do it. And I showed them all wrong. I proved myself right. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't really try to do. But
Right?
it's so rewarding in life if we can go out there and not necessarily prove someone else wrong, but prove ourselves right.
Mm,
That is just a huge boost to your own psyche.
100%.
So let's look at something for a minute. I know there are a lot of people in physical therapy at the moment and will be in the future, and things are going to affect them. And what do you tell your patients about the time that they are going to spend in therapy? Is it going to be a quick relief for pain, a quick relief for things that are making other things harder? How does that work?
So I first off tell every one of my patients that everything is fixable. I truly believe that. If you have the will and the desire to improve and never give up, I really, truly, wholeheartedly believe that. And it's the amount of time and effort you're willing to put into it. So it's not about the sessions that are with me to educate them, but it's what they do backstage, behind the scenes, every single day to get better. And if you stay positive and you continue to keep fighting and you continue to work towards your goals, you'll make those, even if they're just baby steps every single day, you'll get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better.
Exactly. So I understand that working is a process, and it's not necessarily going to happen overnight. But what about those people that are looking for instant gratification or instant help? How can you explain to them that it's not going to happen overnight?
I know. And a lot of times people are looking for the next pill or the next thing that's going to change it. And unfortunately, a lot of the medications and things out there are just going to mask your symptoms and give you temporary relief. But it really takes doing the exercises, doing the work, really changing the root cause of what's happening in order to really get the best results. But unfortunately, some people, it's harder to motivate to get them to do these things because now they feel in this modern day that there should be a quick fix, but unfortunately, it doesn't exist. You need motivation, desire, and you need to do the work.
Sorry, I know on this show we try to help other people out, but I'm also kind of digging for information for myself in this conversation, and I kind of like this conversation because there are so many people on this show that don't understand what I've gone through, and they say they understand and they can relate, but you truly can. Now, I know that death is a super hard thing, and losing someone so quickly is even harder, and especially when it's not foreseen that it's going to happen. But how did you deal with the loss of your grandmother, and then how can other people deal with the loss of somebody in their life?
Um, I think the best way I've dealt with the loss is continuing to use her spirit in my everyday motivations and desires, not forgetting about her, continuing to talk about her. And I do every day, like I am with you now, Jeff, and I talk about her with my patients as well. And I
What was
use
their name?
Helen.
All right, cool. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I use her as an example for some of my patients who have gone through a TBI. I say, you know what? It could have been worse. My
Yeah.
grandma didn't survive this accident. You have the opportunity to conquer this and still live a quality of life if you put in the work and you put in the effort and you try to do strength training and exercises every day to get stronger. You were given a second chance.
Yeah.
So I think by speaking about her, it really helps me heal, because I'm using her to continue to spread her light through me.
That is great advice for other people, and even how it helped you out. And I find that to be amazing, just that you're using your grandmother's image and name and memory just to help you out. I find that cool, and that's a great legacy for her too.
Yeah. So I
So,
feel, yeah, go ahead.
you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like it helps carry her on as well, her legacy on. Mhm.
Yes, that is awesome. So, can you explain a little bit more about Live Well with Dr. Mel and what you help people accomplish?
So within Live Well with Dr. Mel, I have a fall prevention course. So definitely designed because of the what happened to my grandma because she slipped and fell down the stairs. I I it's a step-by-step guide, a course of 5 modules that teaches anybody from the comfort of their home. It's only $50. You take the course, you go through the 5 different modules. It teaches you all different ways to prevent falls. And it also provides you with a home exercise program to do every single day to stay strong and build your balance and proprioception. And you also get a one-on-one coaching session with me to go over the everything as well.
That is awesome. Have you tried to reach out to, say, nursing homes or things, and try to get your program installed as something they do in their repertoire?
Yes, actually, I do. I've had several speaking events at different nursing homes where I go through the whole fall prevention course in large groups as well. So if you're somebody who works at a nursing home and thinks your residents or the people there could benefit from a fall prevention course, I do speak in person and do workshops in person as well.
Phenomenal. I have to say that we need to guard all kinds of people against falls because it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter your age, your race, your gender, your sexual preference. It doesn't matter because those things can all affect you. And then if you have a brain injury on top of that, or that causes a brain injury, you might as well forget life as you know it because your life's not going to be the same after a fall. I
Right.
mean, your life can be the same after a fall, but sometimes it can also not be the same.
And I go over that in the course, the change in your mindset after your first fall and how it can really change and affect you dramatically and what you can do to prevent it from changing your life.
Okay, so can you explain a little bit more about that? Because I think a lot of people get into this negative cycle of a mindset that doesn't benefit them. So,
100%, Jeff. And that's exactly what I call it in the course. I call it the fall cycle. It's a cycle that you fall into because once you have that first fall, you have this fear of falling again, and you're more likely to isolate yourself, keep yourself from going outside the home, keep yourself from even getting up from the chair because you have this inner fear. And what that does is it causes increased atrophy of your legs, you get weak. And then when you do actually have to get up and move, you're more at risk for falling again. So you go back into this recurring cycle.
th- that's honestly the same with people in life.
Yes.
And that the whole fall thing kind of it's an illustration for life
Yes.
because people get stuck in their heads about all kinds of things. So how exactly can we break that cycle?
So you have to take action. And I think that's, like you said, Jeff, it's the same thing in life. To get yourself out of this stuck position, you need to take action. You need to get up. You need to move. You need to exercise. You need to do the things you're most fearful of doing in order to get better.
Yeah. And I know it's said that growth lives outside of our comfort zone. And actually, I'm wearing Seek Discomfort right now because that is outside of your comfort zone or even my comfort zone. So that is great advice. But how can someone figure out what the right actions are to take?
So that's what I go over in the course. I do a whole customized exercise program that is really focused on what exercises are best to prevent falls. So it's a whole balance exercise series, a progression from beginner level to advanced.
And that's all within this $50 program?
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that is a lot cheaper than medical bills after a fall. Because
Exactly.
I know from my car accident, my hospital bills, which I was in the hospital for 3.5 months, but after that, my hospital bills were upwards of $500,000. And that is not good for people.
No, that's
That
causes a stress in itself.
Yeah, and as everyone knows, stress can be not healthy. And
100%.
all right, so can stress lead to being in that cycle, or does it affect that cycle in any way?
Yeah, I feel like stress does affect everything. I feel like some people, when they're very overwhelmed, they're less likely to take the proper steps in the right direction. So it's so important to have a guide, somebody helping you along the way. I know it's hard for a lot of people to seek support and help when they're overwhelmed. A lot of us want to tackle our problems on our own, but the best thing you can do is seek advice from somebody who's been there before, and help somebody through the situation so they can lay out the steps for you. And then it makes it simpler because if you feel overwhelmed and stressed and you feel like you have to tackle the problem all at once, you won't take the initial steps to put yourself in the proper path to success.
Yes, that is again more fantastic advice. But all right, let's say that somebody else is going through something, and say they've lost their job and they're getting ready to lose their house,
Right.
and they're in that negative cycle and going downhill fast. How can they find somebody that has gone through that can help them out?
I think the main thing is, um, God gives us so many people in our life. So just reaching out to even your closest loved ones, just to start communicating about the problems you're going through. And you'll be surprised how connected we all are. And just reaching out to the person you feel most comfortable to speak about your problems with first. And then they can lead you to somebody else. Like Tom has led me to you, Jeff. It's just we're all connected. So just reach out to the person you feel most comfortable about first and tackle it together because it's impossible to tackle these big problems on your own.
Yeah, we don't have to tackle big problems on our own. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that cycle of just trying to do things on their own
Yes.
because we're taught, especially as men, we're taught that strength, it comes from within, and we don't need other people. We need to do it ourselves. But so, Dr. Mel, how can people take this course if they want to? I mean, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I can give you the link, Jeff, to add to this podcast if it's possible. You just click on the link, it brings you to Convene Communities. It's a learning platform, and I'm within the health and wellness community. So you just go to there and you'll find Live Well with Dr. Mel. And you can also email me at support@livewellwithdrmel.com. I respond to all my emails and I can send you the link directly via email as well.
All right. Well, that is fantastic. Again, let me say thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to be here with me. And as you guys can see on that clock behind her, it's been about a half an hour. So I am going to cut the show off here. But I want to remind everybody, including you, Dr. Mel, that you need to do me a favor this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. You need to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one life. Don't forget, we're here every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the show where we try to help you live your best life. Thanks again, Dr. Mel.
Thank you, Jeff.